Hello, hello, hello. It's Giselle. um, I just want to say thank you. I believe it's 5 subscriptions now. 5. Thank you. Anyway, no, I'm just, obviously fucking with you. Anyway, I probably gotta delete that. All right. So anyway, let's start over. All right. So this is Giselle. Thank you for joining me today. I'm trying something new. I'm trying no background sound. Definitely I have anxiety, so this is like a little bit weird for me, but like let's be real, like you're not always in ideal situations, and that's kind of about the subject for today anyway. My daughter posted on Instagram today. My daughter, I just went to her wedding last week. She was married to a wonderful husband. And I guess the whole thing is that my daughter is 6 feet tall. She's a bodybuilder, like heavyweight bodybuilder. Like she's bigger than a lot of guys I've dated. And she's fearless. Like I've talked to her a million times about like being safe. And like I even brought up the situation where this Canadian hockey player that was 6 feet tall, blonde, was abducted and murdered because I don't want her to feel too safe, basically. I do want her to feel safe, but you gotta be aware. Thor says hello.
Hello, 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 hello. I'm doing the ferret dance. Be safe, ladies and men.
Are all those yawns done? You got some shivers? You sleepies? These are my new babies. Oh, little babies. You shiver? Alright, so anyway. So I want to talk about a couple of different situations that I've been in, and so the first of all, me too. That's the catchphrase, right? Hashtag me too. The reality is, one of the things that my daughter thanked me for recently is, and I feel like my conversation is very ADD right now, so I apologize. But one of the things my daughter told me recently that she appreciated about her childhood and how hypervigilant I was with her was that she was never molested, because she said that virtually all of her friends have been molested or raped as they became teenagers. So, like, molested as children or raped as teenagers. So that's kind of what I want to address right now. I was molested as a child. I'm just going to say that. I mean, it's just a reality. And I had to learn, like, the hard way that you can't trust people. Like, and unfortunately, that means, like, everybody. Don't trust people. Have fun with them, you know. But probably one of the things that got me into trouble and what gets a lot of women killed is not wanting to offend somebody. Like, let's just say you're going up in this elevator at night, or you're going through a parking garage, and somebody gives you that bad feeling and you get that prickle on the back of your neck, and you're like, oh, wait, I feel terrible about this. I don't want to hurt their feelings. F them. Because, like, seriously, this is about you, and this is about you getting out of the situation. You don't know this person. You have no reason to trust this person. Like, a lot of times you don't even have the reason to trust the person that you're just, like, out hanging out with. So straight up, anytime you feel that prickling on the back of your neck, or you have a bad feeling about something, like, this has never served me wrong, there was always a reason behind it. You feel that way, you start looking for exits, looking for other people around you, looking for things that you have on you that you can use as a weapon. Like, and get the hell out of there. I don't care if you offend somebody. Like, seriously, everybody needs to get over that. My little sister is super politically correct. You need to get over that. Like, there's, you don't owe everybody a hello. You don't owe everybody a politeness. You just don't. There's no reason for it. So don't worry about their feelings. Don't worry about anything. Worry about getting home safe because your mom cares. I care. I'm sure there's a million people that care about this, right? So, all right. So you take care of yourself. That comes first. Don't put yourself last. All right. So I wanted to talk about like let's go back to my daughter. Let's start with that because that's what started this whole conversation, really. My daughter posted a live stream on Instagram where she had visited a shop and was followed for 30 minutes by a gentleman. Well, no, I'm not even going to call him a gentleman. By a scumbag. My daughter went to a store and was followed for 30 minutes. He came in line behind her. My daughter is like fearless. Like she was raised by me. She is like, she's hardcore. And yet I saw her truly afraid today, which I'm where I am and she's where she is. And these two states are not close and there's nothing I can do about that. Like there's literally nothing. That's one of the hardest things, right, about loving someone is letting them walk around on their own and knowing that you may never see them again. So to see her afraid just brought out the mama bear in me. Like I really I can't even describe like the thoughts and the fear and how much I want to reach out to her and look. And I did reach out to her, but still, like, and she did the right thing. So she checks out and he followed her out of the store and she got in her car and peeled out so that he couldn't get her license number, which he could still do. And we have to know, like, everybody can have access, like, there have been police officers that can trace where you are. I've been called back when I lived in Arizona. I was pulled over one night and the police officer let me go. And then 2 hours later, he called me. Like, how'd he get my number? I didn't give it to him. That's fucking weird. Excuse my language again. Beep. Anyway, back to the story at hand. So she pulled away and she posted a video straight up live stream, which she never does. And I saw my daughter afraid for the first time in my life. And she does have a gun now. She carries a gun with her. And this day, unfortunately, she did not have a gun with her. And now she said that she's not going to go shopping by herself. And so I know that it really hit home, that she really truly felt afraid. And I've had other friends that have died in terrible ways. And I just want to stress to you that in the broad daylight, you can still be a victim. There's nothing that it's not that I don't want you to be like afraid all the time and like not go out, coronavirus helps. Yeah, sure. But it also causes parking lots to be empty. If you're in an empty parking lot, you need to think about where you're going and who's around you. Just be aware of your surroundings. Like that is the number one thing. Be aware of your surroundings. And then being able to think fast. So I'm going to tell you about two, for instances. One when I was 17. So this was like the first time as an adult that I was approached with something that felt violent, and it definitely was violent. So I was at the pool in Arizona hanging out, and there was this guy that looked like Don Johnson. He was very attractive. And so we're talking, and I'm all just like, oh, I'm 17 and I'm finally getting some attention. But I knew he was older than me. And he had said, towards the end of the conversation, he had said that he lives in the same apartment complex as me. And he said that his electricity had gone out in his building. And he had a bunch of meat that cost a lot of money. And he wanted to know if I could take the meat, put it in my freezer, and keep it for him until his electricity came back on. And I was like, cool way to see him again. Like, even though he's older than me, I was still like, oh, Don Johnson, you know? It was the 80s. Anyway, justifying my bad decisions. Anyway, so I go home because I'm going to change out of my swimsuit. I'm going to put some clothes on and I'm going to go to his apartment because he gave me the apartment number. So I got home and my mom's there and I tell my mom the situation. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go get this meat and I'm going to put it in our freezer. And my mom gave me this like grief thing, like, why should we use our electricity to keep his meat cold? But there's like literally nothing in our freezer. No, no bad on my mom. But she should have been thinking too. My teenage daughter's going over to this man's house. But anyway, so I go over there. It's summertime. The door's propped open. There was no electricity on. The air conditioning was not on. It was hot. It's Phoenix, you know. I go inside, and the first thing that sent the hair up on the back of my neck was that as I knocked on the door, and he came out and he said, "Oh, hi, I'm glad you're here." He goes, "Go have a seat on the couch." So I go to have a seat on the couch, and he kicks the boot. He had like a work boot holding the door open. Kicks the boot out and locks the door. And I went, what? Like, okay. So I go sit down. I'm 17, kind of stupid, you know, naive. Not stupid, naive. I go sit down and I pick up the album that's like he has a not an album but it's like a CD or something, and I pick it up and I start looking at it because I'm nervous. And he says, so he disappears in his bedroom for a minute and then he comes back out, and I'm expecting, like, I literally just expected to walk over there, get whatever meat he had and take it back to my place. I didn't expect anything else. So he comes and he sits right next to me, like his thigh is touching my thigh, and I'm like this, and then he is on me like a octopus. Like there was hands and his body, and like I'm a skinny little teenager, not little, I was still my same height, but I only weighed like 106. Like I was like nothing. And he had his hands all over. He was like trying to unbutton my shirt. He was sticking his hands in places where I didn't want them. And he was saying crazy stuff like, no one would understand how I feel about you. Don't tell anybody about this. And like, because obviously, I don't know if you can tell, but like I look younger than I am. And when I was 20, I looked like I was 12. And in this scenario, I'm 17. And I just, like, he was all over me, like a glue trap. And I was like the mouse. And so I just, quick thinking. That's what saved me that day. So I stood up and I said, I told my mom your apartment number, and she said if I wasn't back in 10 minutes, she was calling the cops. He just like went totally straight, went totally white, walked to the door, unlocked it, and opened it. I don't know what would have happened if that didn't happen. You know, if I didn't think of that. So that would be, if you're in a situation where people are like directly, like you're in contact, they are in control at that point, you need to think about things that you can say that are going to change their mind. Don't beg and plead. Don't say, you know, if something is telling you, you know, tell them I'm a mother or something like that. If something, like if you're hearing that in your head, then go ahead and say it. You know, I'm not saying that God doesn't give us the right, or the universe doesn't give us the right things to say, because the universe does. The universe gave me the right thing to say right in that moment. And I'm just saying, be prepared. Don't be in shock. And so, you know, think about ways that they can get caught. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. Tell them I sent before I came here, I told people where I was going. And they're tracking my phone right now. My boyfriend's obsessive. He knows exactly where I am at every moment of the day. Or even I've been recording this whole thing on my phone. I have a personal camera hidden on me and it's recording you right now. Anything. All of that is going to give them a moment of pause. And then if they continue, what I would say, because I've thought about this now, what I would say, like if I said, I have a personal camera hidden on me and it's everything you have done and said is being recorded right now, and they're thinking, I'm going to find that camera, then what I would say is it's transmitting directly to my boyfriend's camera. He's watching this. He's probably on his way here right now. And not only that, but if they don't find me, if I'm dead, you are going to jail for life. You're going to jail for life. You assault me, you'll be out in a couple of years. You do anything worse than that, you are going away for life. That's what I would say. Anyway, so, all right, the other scenario, when it's someone you love. I was married young. Like, after you get into a couple of these, for instances, aren't you really just, like, hoping for some guy to come and save you and just, like, protect you and, like, oh, once I'm married, I'm gonna be so safe. Literally, the worst damage ever done to me has always been by people that I love. So, let's just keep that in mind. Also, like, there's a reason that the spouse is always looked at as the first, like, person when someone ends up missing or dead. It's always the spouse that's the first suspect. There's a reason for that. So anyway, and I wish people would have been more honest with me growing up. Like, it's not going to be all hearts and roses and flowers and, if you can just do everything right on your end, everything's going to work out perfectly. That's not true. So anyway, yeah, my first husband, I've had two husbands. And my first husband was unfortunately highly abusive, and I didn't even know at that point, and I'm going to tell it to you now just in case you don't know it, because nobody ever said this to me. I feel like I've heard it a lot since then, but sometimes when you only hear it when you're listening for it. But if you're in an abusive relationship, the worst time for you is after you finally end it. That's going to be the most dangerous time. That is the most dangerous time frame. You think that you've walked away and you're safe now? You're not. So I was going over to his apartment to pick up our kids, and it ended not only because he was abusive, also I found out his mistress called me. This was shortly after my son was born, my second son. His mistress called me and said, I don't even want to call her, his whore. His whore called me. Let's not give her, like, some kind of fancy name. Mistress. No. This bitch called me. And because she knew he was staying with me, and so she's like, I've got I've got hotel receipts, I've got days and times and messages, all this stuff. And I left him. And he knew that was it, that I was going to be like, why stay with somebody that's not nice to you, doesn't love you the way you need to be loved, isn't respectful of your children at all? Because both my sons have asthma, and then my oldest son had really bad allergies, and he just was, like, not respecting his health situation at all. And then you're like, all right, so he's not doing any of that, and he's cheating on me? Like, psst, done. I mean, and in hindsight, to anybody, any young person that's listening to this, don't put up with any of that stuff. Because, like, literally, there's so many people in this world. You're going to find somebody that's so perfect for you, and the universe is going to open that up. Do not tolerate that kind of disrespect. It's really about, this all comes down to, like, respect for other people, but also self-respect. Like, do not do it. If somebody's not loving you right, Try once, try twice, and let it go because somebody else will treat you better. I guarantee it. I promise you. I promise you. All right. So, and easier said than done because what ends up happening is like bad parents. I'm off on a tangent. Bad parenting creates a situation where that feels normal. So, if you were abused, or if you were neglected, or if you didn't hear that you were loved, all those things, when you're getting that from your potential partner, it's gonna be like, this is my normal. I'm gonna fix this situation. Don't, don't buy a fixer upper. Not in love. Don't buy a fixer upper. The potential. How many women die because they believed in potential? Anyway, so back to the scenario. I'm going over to his apartment to pick up my two boys, his two boys. Um, Jeremy, oh, I'm gonna have to edit that out. My oldest son was 3, and my younger son was like just over a year old. And so I come in and I had a hickey on my neck because I had just started dating again and stuff, and I had this hickey on my neck. And I come in and because it's the end of the weekend, I scoop up my little one and I'm holding him like this in my arms because he's sleeping. And there's my 3-year-old right there. And I'm looking at my ex, and he's got the crazy eyes. They're like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in his head. And he's like, "What is that? Who are you seeing?" And he's like, "You think you can just show up here like this?" And I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared for that hostility. I just wanted to pick up my kids and leave. And especially when he was the one that was cheating, like all through my pregnancy. Like, that's just like, who thinks that this person's going to be mad at me now? Or, anyway, I turn around and look at him. Now he's between me and the door, and he grabbed me by my neck and put me on the ground. Like, he's already been abusive before, but nothing like this. And not in front of the kids before. And he's holding me there. He's got his hands around my throat. And I've watched movies before, and so, like, the thing that I learned in the first moment was that when someone's cutting off your air supply, you can't scream. You can't make a noise. Like, it's just, and nothing. If there's no air, there's no words. And he is straddling me. His thighs are on either side of my hips. I'm holding my baby son in my arms, and I'm trying to process this information. Very young, 21 years old, holding my son in my arms like this, my baby son. Like, I was mostly just worried that he was going to kill the baby son too. Like, somehow, I think because he always said, like, he didn't think that the baby son was his, which was just weird because we intentionally got pregnant with that one. So anyway, and then I look over and I see my 3-year-old standing there, and the fear in his eyes, and just thinking, oh my God, he's going to witness me getting killed. And then I'm staring, and I'm not even responding. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm a statistic. I'm a statistic. I'm a statistic. This is it. I'm going to be one of those women that dies. And God only knows what's going to happen then. And the reason, like, one of the things that brought this up for me was they keep talking about how Shanann and Chris Watts, that they, like, she didn't fight while he was strangling her. And he was sitting on her just like my first husband was sitting on me. You don't expect it. You don't expect it. It's like you just are in such disbelief and you don't know how to respond. But there are ways, and you should learn how to break free from that situation. Like, I feel like I was kind of vulnerable because I was holding my son, but I still should have fought back in some way. Like, I still, to this day, like so many years later, more than 20 years later, kick myself for not standing up for myself, standing up for my children, fighting. And I feel so bad for Shanann because I'm gonna start crying now again. I'm sorry. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't watch this anymore. She's always crying." But like, she could have turned everything around if she had fought hard enough. Maybe she couldn't have turned it around. Maybe she couldn't have. That whole situation pisses me off so bad. Like, all these women, like, "Oh my god, she was horrible. Oh, he's free now. He's so handsome." What? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. Like, if I could, I would take a vegetable slicer and peel the skin off. That's what you learn after a while. Anyway. Oh, she laughs like a crazy person. Anyway, so let's get back to the story. Yeah, he just let go of me. And my bizarre 20-year-old brain, 21 years old brain, thought, oh my god, he loves me so much he's willing to go to jail for this. Like, he brought me a dozen roses like 2 days later, and we had like a family movie night. And I just didn't know how to process it because nobody ever fucking talked to me about it. So anyway, I'm swearing a lot about it right now. I'm having a lot of emotional issues with the fact that my daughter was afraid. My daughter, and Arizona scares me. That's one of the reasons I left. Like, I've had friends die in Arizona. It's a wild ass place. There's a lot of desert. They could just not find your body. Anyway, so let's go back to the story. I highly advise everyone, every female out there, if you love a female, if you have a female in your family that you care about, if you are the female and it's just you, like if you were a foster kid and this is you now, you're 18, whatever, you're out of the house, get yourself some safety stuff to carry on your keychain. I think it's ridiculous. There needs to be legislature that allows pepper spray to be carried everywhere. Like in the state that I live in, no pepper spray. Who are you trying to help here? You know? But yeah, so get yourself prepared. There's pepper spray. There's little hidden knives that you can carry. There's alarms you can pull. Be thinking in that moment. Be thinking, what can I say to get out of this moment? What can I say that's gonna think about that beforehand? Don't try to come up with it on the spot. I was just lucky that day, like seriously. And I did nothing. I will tell you eventually, like, I had my moment with Mr. So and so, and I saw the fear in his eyes when I finally stood up for myself. Um, it was a good moment. Anyway, that is a good footnote actually. The only men who attack women are men who are afraid of other men. Trust me on this. That is such a pussy move. Like, in hindsight, I'm like, dude, I am twice the man you'll ever be. Because I have fought men. Unfortunately. Like, who wants to say that? And if you're the guy that I was, like, up against, think about that. You fucking pussy. Anyway. Alright, so that one probably should, this video probably should have some kind of parental warning. And I have like a disclaimer here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. It says, I'm not a good influence. That's my disclaimer. I'm not a good influence. But you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready to bring it and fight it and get those classes. watch a couple of right before I filmed this, I watched a couple of like 5-minute videos on YouTube and TikTok. Like they're out there. They can teach you. And probably the last thing, throwing elbows. There's a reason it's illegal in boxing, cuz that's a way to get them, you know? The throat, get the throat. I would go for either of those, and guys are never expecting a headbutt. I've gotten myself out of a situation with a headbutt. I gotta, like, that's unfortunate, and it's been within the past year, so. So, anyway, yeah, I'm still learning, and I hope you're learning, and I hope that you never have to go through what I've been through. And I hope that the world treats you kindly and that you go to bed tonight knowing that you're loved. Good night. Bye. Jay. Jay. Jeremy. Can you help me? Come help. I think I stopped recording, but it looks like it's still recording.